In this lesson, we'll add some twisting to the upper body during the run. We want to look at our contact positions for this. Basically, when the left leg is forward, that means the right arm is going to be forward. Therefore, we need to twist the body towards that left leg, or whatever leg is going forward in the contact pose. So, we'll also view our graph editor as we're doing this, and we'll also look into our rotation Y attribute. So on frame 1, we'll go to our rotate Y in the channel box, select that, and we can middle click and drag it so that the upper body is going to be rotated so that it will accommodate that right arm going forward on frame 1. Okay, so that's at about a value of 20. So if you'd like, you can go ahead and bring this to a value of 20. Therefore, that means that on frame 13 or 12, actually, we want to use the opposite value. So that's going to be negative 20. And then on frame 23, that will be positive 20. So you can see what we've done here. We've really added some extreme rotation for this. Okay, we really want to add exaggeration to our animations and get into the habit of doing that, because that not only loosens up the character, but it adds more appeal to the animation as well. Now let's say we take this a step further. Alright, we have it rotating, but how can we add more? Well, if you look at a run, the twisting that's happening in the upper body is rather quick. Right now, this is moving a little bit dull. So let's go ahead and add a little bit more of an interesting look to the twist. Going back to the graph editor, what we want to do here again is speed up the time at which the character is twisting. And we can do that basically by selecting our start key and mid key. And we can break their tangency. Another way of doing that is actually going to this icon here. So that's a little bit quicker way of doing that. So once we do this, we basically want to make sure that for frame 1 we select the right half of our tangent handle and bring this down so we have this type of concave arc. And that's going to allow us to quickly, or get to this mid key that we have a little bit faster. You can see by just looking at the direction of our function curve, and basically by adjusting it this way, again, we're getting a faster result going to this midpoint key. Thus, in the animation, the character is going to rotate quicker to this direction. So what are we going to do then for our midpoint key? Well, for it to move faster to the direction on frame 23, all we need to do this time is actually take the right half and bring this up. So watch what we have now just from doing those changes. And we could even hide our curves. I like to do this at times just so we can view the animation with no distractions. And notice now we have a much more appealing twist to the upper body. It's a little bit snappier, but not too snappy where it takes away from the animation. Looks a little bit more appealing this way. Alright, great. Well, now that that's done, let's say we go ahead and rotate the head so that it counters what's happening with the upper body. So it'll be facing more forward. We'll show our curves. We'll also make sure we go to the front view rather than the perspective. So let's go to our orthographic front view. And just focusing on the head, again, we basically want to counter what's happening with the upper body so that the head will be facing more forward. So on frame 1, we'll go there, focusing on our rotate Y again. And let's go ahead and just rotate the head in the Y so that it's facing a little bit more forward. Not totally forward. We want to add a slight offset where it's almost in the other direction. Okay, just so that we can make this look more natural. Alrighty, so with this value, that's closer to a value of negative 16, so we could always use that. And being that that's negative 16, therefore on frame 12 we use a value of positive 16. And then on frame 23, that goes to negative 16. Alright, let's see what this gives us. Looking in our front view, we could even hide our NURBS curves and hit play. Great, so now we have the character's head looking forward as he's running. We could even look at this in our perspective camera as well. Okay, great. Well, now that we have fixed the rotation of the head, we can go ahead and look at our run in different angles just to see how it's coming along. We don't want to limit our views, especially when working in 3D animation. We want to make sure that we view at all angles to make sure everything is looking correct. Great, so this run is really coming together for us. Well, with this now done, that finishes the twisting that we're going to do for the upper body. We also added twisting to the head to counter what's happening in the upper body. And what's left to do really for the chest and also for the head is to see if we can add a little bit of Z rotation. So we'll stop the lesson in here, or stop the lesson at this point, and in the next lesson we will finish off the animation of the chest and head by adding a little bit of Z rotation and seeing if we can tweak anything before we call it finalized and move on to another section.